This one is dedicated to each and every one of you who appreciate a great glass of wine. You know what I mean?
It's Monday. Let's raise a glass to the beginning of another week. It's time to unscrew, uncork, or saber a bottle. And let's begin exploring the wine glass. With every vintage, a winery has so many decisions to make. Many are about the vineyards and the fruit, but others are purely judgments about marketing. What will make the customers pick up their bottle of wine over another bottle that is right next to it? Today on the podcast, I sit down with some wine lovers and we discuss whether we agree or disagree with the decisions that were made. Joining me in the conversation is Michael Kelly of California Wines and Wineries, Susannah Gold of Vigneto Communications, and Luciana Braz of Wine Talk Group. Sláinte. I want to give a big shout out to Feelingvine for leaving this 5-star review. Loving this podcast. I've been enjoying this podcast and loving the guests she has on. I have also found some new wines to try and look for. I would definitely recommend it. I love your name, Feelingvine, and thank you for listening and for leaving this fantastic review. This truly is the best way to show support of the podcast and to help let other wine lovers find Exploring the Wine Glass. Hey everybody, I'm Lori Budd, a UC Davis winemaking program, sommelier service, champagne specialist, and WSET Level 2 graduate. You can find Exploring the Wine Glass on all the socials as well as your favorite podcast catchers. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to swipe, subscribe, rate, and review. I promise I'll never tell you what to drink, but I'll always share what's in my glass.
Even in the Bible.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wine Writers Wrap Up. I get together with a group of wine-loving friends, and we have a topic or a couple of topics to discuss, and we just kind of tell it how it is and how we feel. So I am your host, Lori, a UC Davis winemaking graduate, WSET Level 2 graduate, Somm Service, and a champagne specialist. And I am your host, and I've got an interesting, or what I think is an interesting topic today. So I'm going to go with Michael first. You want to give a little brief intro to yourself?
Sure. My name is Michael Kelly. I'm a writer for California Wines and Wineries. I'm also a wine judge. I blog, blogger, et cetera, et cetera. and collect a lot of wine.
And wine collector. Awesome. And we have a new face to Wine Writers Wrap Up, so I'm very excited to welcome Luciana. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi there. I'm Luciana Braz from the Wine Talk Group, and I name myself International Wine Observer. I travel, I taste, I've been judging and writing, and I don't know, etc., etc. I like that, etc., etc.
Wonderful. And Susannah.
Hi. So I'm Susannah Gold, and I wear a lot of different hats in the wine industry. I have a public relations company called Vigneto Communications, but in my heart, I'm a wine writer and a wine blogger and a wine educator. I'm a real Italy specialist. That's my sweet spot, and but just a wine lover in general. And I have many wine degrees, starting with diploma and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera,
et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of et
cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of et ceteras. Yep.
Okay. All right. So, Lucia, I see you are drinking. What is in your glass tonight?
I have a Langhi, a Nebbiolo.
Oh,
nice. Oh, nice.
Very, very nice.
So, yeah, it's something close to my heart, and it's good. I can see some sunshine on my window, and I thought, okay, let's change the mood.
Yep, and that's what we got to do sometimes, what we have to do. Susannah, are you drinking anything?
I am drinking something. I have a really seriously old-fashioned wine glass that I'm embarrassed to show, but I'm drinking Armagnac. I'm drinking Armagnac from Chateau La Baude, La Abode, and it's a VSOP. And I'm drinking Armagnac because I'm a big Armagnac fan, and I've become even more of an Armagnac fan during the pandemic. And I'm kind of today's a big day because it was the last time I taught a wine class in person a year ago, and I'm
Oh,
just mindful of the year that's been. So I feel like it calls for a meditative something, and Armagnac is that.
very nice, very nice. Michael, are you pre-gaming?
I have again a 2021 water. It's excellent. It's in a Riedel glass. It doesn't look like Riedel, but it's actually a Riedel glass made for water.
Well, I'm doing the water with you also. I kind of just did an hour and a half yoga, and body's not quite ready for wine yet. So we're just kind of replenishing the fluids with some water here. And anyway, so thank you all for joining me today. And it was kind of short notice that I got this idea, and I sent out the email, and bam, here we are. But so I'm going to backtrack a little bit. On the blog this week, I wrote a post for Taste Washington, a sponsored post for Taste Washington, with a lovely winery called Murray Gaston, which is a second label for Purple Star wines. And the wine was, I had this nice single vineyard designated Syrah. It was beautiful. And for the first time of this like type of sponsored post, like we had an organizer that sent out phone numbers to everybody. So I was on the phone with the owners, talking to Amy, and it was wonderful. So we wrote the post, and then I was talking to her, and she asked me a question, winery to winery. She's like, I got to ask you a question. What do you think of capsules? And I'm like, I started laughing, and I'm like, you know what? I am in a year battle with Mike because I want naked bottles. I want wines that don't have capsules on them because I think it's just bad for the environment. And we are so, I'm a tree hugger. I want to do everything I can for the environment. And the capsules are just, they're aesthetic, but they're, they just go into the garbage dump, And I was like, but Mike is very anti-capsules. So I told her, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have a wine writers wrap up, and we're going to discuss this. So that is where this triggered. So we're going to start off with the capsules. And what are your thoughts on capsules? Are they important? Are they not important? Do you care? Would you buy, not buy? Tell me your thoughts on capsules.
Can I start?
You can.
Okay. So my thoughts on capsules are varied. I have different feelings about capsules. This week I hate capsules because one of them just broke my Corvin needle. I didn't realize the depth of the capsule that I was using, and I thought I could just use my Corvin. I'm not too expert on Corvin, using it with the capsule on it, and it killed my two of my needles of this. Yeah. Luckily I had bought a pack of 4, but so I'm not pro capsule this week because of that. But I have mixed feelings. I've bought wines, usually natural wines that don't have capsules on them, and it feels a little unfinished to me. It feels a little raw. I get it, like from a marketing branding perspective. The traditionalist in me kind of misses the capsule. But then again, when I'm opening a bottle of wine and I'm trying to do it in a very beautiful way so that I can get a perfect picture of the open bottle of wine, and I kind of rip the capsule or I cut myself with the capsule, I think maybe it's better to not have capsules. So I go back and forth about it. Of course, all of this is not talking about the environment. So for the environment, everything should not have a capsule on it, right? But then again, should it have a glass bottle for the environment? I mean, we could, take this to the extreme. So that's my kind of that's multifaceted view on capsules for the moment.
Okay. Michael, Luciana?
Yeah. So I was doing a story earlier this week on this winery down in Pismo Beach area. called Luciana, and so I had a conversation. Had a,
Paso, not Pismo. Paso.
oh yeah, Paso. Sorry. So I had this opportunity to talk to Lori, and we went on about this subject, and so I'll share it. The one hand, typically we have a cutter, a foil cutter, so you can make a nice clean cut around it, or if you want to get fancy, you can put the thing up, put the cork up in it, depending on what you want to do and who you're trying to impress or not impress. But the one thing I do, so I agree from an environmental aspect to get rid of the capsule. And they're also, I volunteer sometimes at a friend's winery putting the capsules on, and you get them wrong and they double over and you got to peel them off, and et cetera, et cetera. But I think one thing that I do like about capsules and is that it keeps it hygienically clean. And because now again, we always are serving on tablecloths, even just Susan, my wife and myself, we have a table and linen on it. So you always put a drip mechanism so it doesn't drip. But if you didn't do it that way, I think the wine could pour over that lip. And if it wasn't clean, you might tamper with or get something tampered with the wine. So, but that's maybe many years ago, people were doing things in grocery stores and putting bad things on foods and foils and things of this sort. I don't think there's a big thing to go after wine, but who knows? I think I would weigh in on keeping the foil on there.
Luciana?
Yeah, I think depends what the material you use for the capsule. If you have it aluminum only, it's 100% recycle. So I don't see any problem in 100% recycle. And if you can have a paper capsule as well, and you can recycle that as well. So I don't see a big problem when you can recycle your material. And I do believe if you sell on your cellar door, on your tasting room, I don't see any problem to sell the wine without the capsule. But if you're going to export the wine, there is the logistic involved and transportation, weather, and all the manipulation of the bottles and boxes and the package itself. So I think if you're going to export your wine, or your wine is going to be a great deal of time in the transportation, I think capsule could help you in that process.
Yeah, I think if you're exporting it, it's a whole different story. Jusina doesn't export.
Good.
Our 400 cases aren't going, across any borders. But yeah, I can see that you would need the capsule. But and Michael, when we were talking, you had mentioned that about the cleanliness or whatever, and I'm thinking, what. I'm a microbiologist, and that never entered my mind. But I would, it's kind of the same thing as, when you're drinking a can of beer or
exactly.
or whatever. And not that this cleans anything, but I never drink out of a can of anything without doing this with my shirt.
Exactly.
That doesn't. All that does is get the dust off there. Whatever. But I guess you could, just as you get into the habit of cutting the foil, right, which Susannah's going to do forever and ever now, that you could get into the habit of just wiping it down with that alcohol. If you wipe it down with alcohol, and that evaporates, that's not going to affect the pour. And yeah, I guess aluminum. I didn't know you could. You just put it in normal recycling aluminum. What about the tin? But tin isn't, right? It's tin and aluminum. I should know this.
Yeah, aluminum is the only package that you can recycle 100%. Not even paper, you get 100%.
Oh, wow. Wow, see, I didn't know that. Gotta love learning something new. I didn't know that. But yeah, so the person at Purple Star, Amy, she wants. I don't know if this is really what it's called, and we have to probably change that because it means something different now. But she's for the naked bottle also, and her husband doesn't want to do it, and we're like, you know.
That's interesting. I bought these wines from Michigan, and it was a naked bottle without finding a better term. And it felt to me, it made me think that it was very much a homemade wine, but not in the positive sense.
Right.
It kind of made me feel like the wine that I make, because I make wine at home too. And sometimes I randomly put on capsules, but mostly I don't. And there was something that felt very artisanal about it, but kind of in like, you make it in your garage way, not in the positive garagiste way, right? So I don't know. That's neither here nor there, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. I do feel that the bottle looks naked in the negative way, not positive.
Well, that is exactly how Mike feels, and that's why he doesn't want to do that. Is he feels that it lowers the expectation of quality.
It does, unless you're a natural wine producer, and then it makes it feel like it kind of works with the whole I'm a natural wine producer vibe, right?
Right.
It depends how you're marketing what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I agree.
Yeah, and interesting when one thing I forgot to mention, I am the host of the National Cab Franc competition. But one of the things we did when all these Cab Francs came in for the tasting event and they came from 14 different states and 55 different 55 wineries. Some were just a simple red or black capsule, and that was it. Some obviously had the logo or something impregnated on the top of it or printed, but I saw some very classy ones from Virginia, New York, Michigan, Virginia, where they actually used that mechanism with the capsule for advertising, and whether it was either for standing out on the shelf or for, again, giving the consumer the impression this is a classy bottle with a little horseman or something on there. So to me, it was I think that's an unused advertising area or space.
I agree with you completely. I mean, in Europe, but if you think about it, also in Europe, all of the kind of the traceability of the thing is in a little ribbon around the top of it. I mean, the logos of the consortium are all on the top of it. I mean, the capsule has a really fundamental role. So I don't know.
Yeah. Also, the capsule, it's another way for bigger wineries to recognize the wine because of the color of the capsule. So you can recognize without pulling up the bottle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Michael, I will share a little secret with you. Okay. Mm-hmm. At the Cab Franc competition, Amber and I were walking through, and so he had all of the bottles in brown bags. Okay, up to the neck of it, and we walked by, and I said to Amber, I'm like, "That's Dracaena wines," and she's like, "How can you tell that?" I'm like, "The capsule. I know my capsule." And then
it was a plain black or a plain red, unless it was it stood out significantly.
Well, I know my color. I just know my specific color.
Yeah.
And she laughed when we pulled the brown bags off. She's like, "You're right." I'm like, I hope I know my capsules.
But but the ones that were advertised, I had to cut all those off.
Right. Yeah, there were
Ahead of
others that you had taken them all already. Ours does not say Dracaena on it. Ours has a grape cluster on the top where you would cut off in order to pull the cork off. Ours has a grape cluster there. That obviously wasn't there because the bottle was open. But capsule. There's so many things that people don't think about in terms of owning a winery. Like you choose that color of that capsule. Like there, you say it's gold, but there's like 20 different golds you choose. You could choose from. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So having had that experience, you're still anti-capsule?
I just am more Mother Nature, but I don't think they get so I didn't know they were recyclable. So that changes everything. But I don't think the majority of people recycle it. Although I must say, I don't rip the capsule off of the bottle and I recycle the bottle. So I guess if it's recyclable, it's getting recycled. But
what about screw caps?
All right.
You have Australians go for screw caps. You have Austria going for screw caps, and so many other places and countries going for screw caps because you can recycle 100%. It's easy, and it's good for the environment.
Right. Absolutely. I think in 2021, screw caps have come a long way. You think, even 2014, 2015, people were very, very anti screw caps. So I think they've come, the concept of a screw cap has come a long way. But I read an academic article that ran a scientific study, and it was a large scientific study. And what they did was they had people sitting in a room facing this direction, and behind them, they either pulled a cork or unscrewed, that the unscrew gets. And then they poured the wine, okay? And it was an overwhelming response that the wine that was under cork, now this is in America also, that the wine under cork was a better tasting wine. It was rated significantly higher, and it was the same wine. Them pulling the cork and then popping the screw, twisting the screw, were on different bottles. It had nothing, they were just making that sound. So the people hearing the cork being pulled rated the wine higher significantly than a screw cap.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can too.
Yeah.
I can see that. And I also like the German glass top with the plastic wrap on top of it, so you can recycle everything.
Right.
I like that too. But for young wines, right? Like kind of modern young wines. Mm-hmm. And you need to know what your market goes for. Mm-hmm. Because if you have kind of traditional market, a traditional audience, they're not going for screw caps or glass or wherever. They really want the cork. Yeah. So you need to know who is going to buy your wine. Mm-hmm. Who is your target, and then you choose.
Isn't the biggest issue, though, in terms of a bottle rather than the capsule, the weight of the bottle?
Well, that was my next concept to discuss. Way to pull it right in there, Susannah. Woo! Yes.
We're friends, right?
Yes.
I'm your friend.
That was my next concept is bottle weight. So the perception of a heavy bottle versus a lighter bottle. Go at it.
Here, I feel like there's no contest. All I want is a lighter bottle. Your heavy bottle makes me think that you're not bright, not that your wine is better. It makes me think you're hurting the environment, you're showy, and you're not really thinking about your consumer. You're not thinking about the people who are stocking your wine. Here I'm all in on lighter bottles for everything. I don't mean lighter color. I mean lighter weight. I don't see why everybody isn't packaging in lighter weight, to ship around the world. Domestic, imported, everything. All in on lighter bottles.
Well, I do think out of the country when they're importing it, I do think they tend to keep it a little lighter. No?
There are plenty of bottles that I have had from
Right.
Italy that are like
Okay.
9 pounds. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, if I've been in Italy and people want to give me a bottle, they give me like a 9-pound bottle to show me the importance of what they're giving me. And I can barely carry that. I can barely carry that.
Right.
It's
No,
a weight of 2 champagne bottles.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, it just, yeah. I mean, on this, I really have just one view,
But
which is
it's
everybody
a
should be making
cultural
lighter
thing, right?
glass.
It's a
It's a
cultural
cultural
thing.
thing, of
Yeah.
course. It's like cork, but the bottles are really, you know, the carbon footprint of each of these wineries would be so much better if they had lighter bottles. I mean, it really could make a difference for our environment. I mean, for everybody. It's a big deal.
I don't-
Bottle
Totally
weight.
agree.
I
Yeah.
don't understand the heavy bottle concept at all because, as you were saying today, all it does is, from a winery aspect, it costs me more money. It's
Right.
horrible for the environment. And then people who, okay, if they're going to walk into a tasting room and carry a bottle of wine, it's heavy, but okay. But most people, the majority of sales are being done, you know, I'm shipping bottles. Well, it's already, it costs us $50 to ship a case of wine from California to New Jersey. That's what it costs us, $50. And that's with our bottles. Now you pop in some of these bottles, you know, if it's that like 6 pound, our bottles are under 3 pounds a bottle, filled, right? So you're popping, if you're doing a 6-pound bottle, it's $75, $80 to ship a case of wine. Who's paying that? I mean, now we pay, I take that back. We pay for our shipping. If you buy a case, it's a penny because it's illegal to ship free. But not a lot of wineries do that. So who's paying that bill? And let's forget a case. Let's just say 3 bottles. My customer is paying more shipping just to have a heavy bottle. It's no rhyme and reason to me.
I think you can make an analogy with books. Before Amazon come along, the books were heavy. And people like to show off like, this book is so heavy, you know, the weight of knowledge or something like this. And Amazon came and changed everything. Now books are very light and very thin paper printed. I think one good thing that this pandemic and this COVID quarantine can bring us is that effect. As we ship more wines, people can just light an idea. Oh, we can do just like the books and get lighter bottles. Maybe something good come out of the pandemic regarding to the bottles weight.
Well, I have to say, I think my little, not to call any wine region out, but our little neighbors up north have that personality of, I have to, you're paying $90, $100, $150 for a bottle of wine, you know, we've got to have it in this sturdy, big old heavy glass so that you feel like you're getting your money's worth.
So I'll go contrarian position on this against 3 women. So I know I'm gonna lose right away.
You've lost her. Before you even said anything, you're done.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter the subject, you know.
No.
But I agree for all the reasons you said, Suzanne, that about the shipping, and I know the shipping costs are ridiculous with extra weight and stocking it, distributing the wine, displaying it in your winery, etc. It all comes down to a lot of extra work, and for the most part, needlessly. I really say that. But on the one hand, so like I know like all the wines I get that coming from Chile, Argentina, most from Europe are generally lighter weight, okay? And even from the East Coast, a lot of the wines come in a little bit lighter. But I do like having for a display, and again, that goes back to ego. It has nothing to do with the quality of the wine on the inside. But when you're displaying your wine, you like to see a nice heavy bottle, and and for the uninitiated, they probably think it is a better wine. And a lot of it. So, Lori, your comment about coming from Napa. I mean, I opened
didn't say a word. Where?
No, you didn't mention any names.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
But I had a Crocker and Star this week, Stone Place 2011 cab, and that bottle must have weighed 3 times what another bottle weighed that was right next to it when I was getting ready to do a story on it, and I was like amazed at how much. And then we go back into what the bunt is on the bottom. And that bunt was a full 2 inches in, whereas the bottle I had from Argentina was flat, but maybe had an 1/8 of an inch, and the glass was very shallow. But the difference in weight was like 3x, minimum 3x. So now, Crocker and Star, Pam Star, can go ahead and charge you $110, $120 for that bottle of wine versus the Malbec from Argentina, which I got for $19 or $20. So that's a big difference, right? Right there.
Right, but should just because she's charging $150, the fruit is more expensive. I give that, but she could save. Any winery can save money if they do lighter glass. Okay, so the only thing is that if it costs me, and these are not correct numbers, if it costs me $1 a bottle, that dollar is being transferred to my customer. So if it costs me $3 a bottle, $3 is being passed on to my customer. My wine is still my wine. There's nothing different that's going into that bottle of wine other than that my customer is paying $2 more for the wine because my cost of goods is so expensive.
Right, but it's also much worse for the environment, depending on the size of your winery. And also, how about organic wineries or biodynamic wineries that then have incredibly heavy bottles? Like the disconnect between that, or like you'll talk to the owner who's smoking while they have organic or biodynamic wine. Like, I don't get that. Do you know what I mean? I don't get that at all. And I've seen it a lot. And I kind of feel like at least be consistent in your messaging and your person. I mean, you want to smoke, that's your deal. But, then you know what I mean? You claim to be biodynamic, then why do you have such a heavy bottle? Like, I kind of feel like there's a lot of inconsistency out there, and bottle weight could really be one where people are with their own personal branding message.
I think it's poor cultural, because if you look to French wine and if you look to Bourgogne and Bordeaux, they are not heavy as Italians, and yet they are very good quality and very expensive. Mm-hmm. So I think it's there is 2 things involved. I'm gonna put my hat of customer behavior specialist. I think there is 2 things involved in the package. One, it's the market, how your market perceives, view added value, and the other side of it is vanity. How vain is the producer? So the bottle reflects both aspects. And you can have, I don't care about the market. I'm going to do my bottle as I see it. And that's it. I like a heavy one. I like a white label. And I'm going to print in the most expensive paper. And I don't care. And that's vanity, right? And at the other side, you have a market that says, oh, if it's not heavy, it's not good. Because that market doesn't care about the wine itself. It's about showing off labels. So if you're not in that extreme, you can balance something in between. You can have a lighter bottle because you have a very good wine. And if you know your audience already and you know your market already, they're going to be happy with your decision because they do care about the environment as much as you do. So I think it's a good symbiosis to think about the customer.
Well
Well,
said.
Yeah, and I think that the reality is, if maybe down in Pismo, people are more buying wine because it's part of their everyday experience and what they want to eat and drink down there. But on other wineries, without mentioning names, I wonder how many of those folks are. I mean, and I spent a lot of time there. How many are really uninitiated to the understanding the wine business and the wine and how wine's made and the value of wine and what the cost difference in labeling and a bottle weight and all this. I'm convinced that most of the folks I see going through, I call it Disneyland North, how much they do not know really about wine.
It doesn't matter. For the market, doesn't matter. That's the thing. That's the big difference between the wine trade and the whiskey trade, for example, or the beer or the other alcoholic beverage. The wine trade is always worried about knowledge. It's always worried about educating the consumer. The whiskey trade, they want to educate who wants to be educated, but they don't care who is buying. They're selling to everybody.
Right.
And the wine trade is kind of, no. You need to know this. You need to know that. You need to understand that. The consumer doesn't need to understand anything to buy.
Right.
They just like it.
Right. They either like it or they don't like it. Right.
Yeah. And that's it. And the most difficult thing is not to sell the first bottle, is to sell the second one. And when the customer comes back to buy your wine, that's the most difficult thing. And for the wine trade, is a challenger. All because we need to educate. You have to know. You have to study. You have to learn. No, I don't. If I don't want to.
Right. I can know absolutely nothing other than I like this. And that's good. Yep.
And I'm going to buy, and I come back, and I'm going to buy again. And I think the wine trade would learn a lot with the whiskey industry in that manner.
And now, a word from our sponsor. Dracaena Wines loves to give back. There are so many fur babies that deserve to find their forever home. We would love to be able to help as many as possible. If you are part of a nonprofit organization or know of a nonprofit organization that would like to hold a fundraiser, please contact us at contact@dracaenawines.com or visit our website, dracaenawines.com, to fill out the form. How does the fundraiser work? It is super simple and costs your group absolutely nothing. Together, we will choose a month that your group will be sponsored. During the month, you promote the fundraiser just like any other event you'd hold. At the end of the month, we will donate 20% of the sales to your organization. The donations will be made in the name of each individual who purchased the wine so that you know exactly who helped the animals. Our goal is to raise as much funds as we possibly can and to help as many animals as possible. So please help us help as many fur babies as we possibly can.
Yeah, very valid point. Absolutely. You don't need to understand.
Don't take me wrong. I'm a wine geek. I
agreeing
love to
with
learn.
you.
I love to make questions.
Right,
I
but
love
that's
to geek
our
in the
inner
wine.
That's our inner selves. That's our inner geek. That's us. But I drank wine before I knew what I was doing. You know, I was drinking wine before that. Now and sometimes I think I actually enjoyed wine. Sometimes I enjoyed wine before I was all educated, because now I'm sitting down and when I have a glass of wine, it's like I'm dissecting it sometimes, and you're like, all right, well, it's got this, it's got that, blah, 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 all this stuff. Where before I was like, yeah, this is good,
But it's funny. It's fun as well, right?
Yes.
Because you like to do that. So it's fun and you enjoy to do that.
Yes.
So it's great, but not everybody is doing it's like that.
Right.
And the wine trade is missing a big deal of money, I believe.
Yes.
Well, it's funny. I was a couple of years back on the last trip I was over in Ireland and Scotland. We actually did a day class in Killarney on Irish whiskey, and we also did a tour of. I've already done all the whiskey tours in Ireland, but we did a couple of them up in Scotland in between our golf rounds, and they're going, Luciana, to your point, they're going more the wine direction with telling you why you should like this wine, and they're, whether it's once distilled, twice distilled, and why their mash is better, and this, that, next thing, and the size of the tanks, and they're getting more technical in trying to get you to have, again, that connection mentally or intelligently about their process, as opposed to whether you like it or don't like it kind of a scenario.
But don't you think that that's more because you were on a tour?
You were there.
You were there to learn, right?
Yeah, I was there to learn.
You could have just, they're quite okay with just here, buy this, whatever. But you were on a tour, so they've got a tour or something, right? They got to.
Well, yeah, these were a tour for three of us, just three of us that went in. It wasn't a tour, but yeah, we were there for it to be educated about whiskey making.
I still say the best tour ever I have ever had in my life was at Sam Adams in Boston, or just technically outside of Boston, because you went in, you waited, for your tour time to go on. They opened the door, you watched a video of Jim Cook, having a blast doing what he does. And then they opened the doors and they went, all right, that's a tank. This is hops. This is malt. Let's go drink. That was the tour, and they were like, okay, here's some hops. You can smell it on your way on the way. And then they opened these big doors, huge tables, and we sat there and we drank for an hour. It was like the best tour ever. Like you could ask them questions if you wanted, but
I like what they do in Champagne, the big houses of Champagne. They have different tours. So if you want to know more, you go to the geek side of it.
Oh, okay.
If you're there just to look around the barrels, take some pictures, like Instagram kind of tour, they have it. So they have a beautiful lounge. They have different colors. They have a stairway to go into the caves with lightning and all this stuff. And you can Instagram the hell out of it. But if you want to learn something, you want to hear about the technical stuff, you can book a tour, and it's a different tour. I like that. And there is also a third one that's very common in the US, is the drinking tour. So you pay something and you drink everything. And it's also good. So you have public for everything.
Right. Absolutely.
It's good.
All right. So I have one more topic. So Susannah, this is this kind of goes wax on the bottle. Do we like wax on the top?
No.
Ignore the capsule. Let's put wax on it.
No, I'm completely anti-wax.
Why are you? Everybody's like, no.
I'm anti-wax. I'm anti-wax. It is beautiful, but
terrible.
It's like I want wax on a beautiful leather-colored notebook in which I'm writing poetry, right? Like with a seal and all of that. I do not want wax on top of my wine bottle because it's hard to cut off. If you don't have the right instruments, it creates problems. Then it kind of like, it's like so friable when it comes apart, so then it gets all over the place. And it's annoying at the end of the day, right? It's annoying. It's like, okay, great. Yeah, nice bottle, but it's annoying. Like, take that off my bottle of wine. Right?
Wax in a bottle is just like high heels. It's beautiful to look at, But
That's
to
a good
spend the
one.
whole day on high heels or go to work or run around with the high heels is not really funny.
Luciana,
Well
I'm
said.
gonna use that line.
I am too. Good
Yeah,
one. I
that's
will
a
quote
great
you,
one.
but that
That's
is
a great
awesome.
one.
Yeah,
I
that's a
think
great
it's like
metaphor.
that. It's beautiful on a picture. And to look at, it's very elegant. It's fantastic. Come on. But try on for tasting like 10 bottles or open like in your house. You have to clean the mess.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
all those little pieces of wax. It's funny. We used to. So I have obviously, and Lori knows a collection of wine, and some of the high end, not from Pismo.
Paso
Paso,
Robles.
Pismo,
Paso
Paso.
That's two major differences.
But up.
It's the
and
water.
You know what? I'm
It's
sure
the
glad I'm
water. He's
drinking
drinking
water.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The water is not
I
good.
blame on the water.
Yeah. But we would go to dinner almost every Friday night when we lived more in the city, and we go out to dinner almost when we could pre-COVID. And I would typically bring a wax bottle to pay and let them deal with it for that meal, because I got so sick and tired of opening wax bottles. I would just, if they're going to charge me for a corkage fee, I said, "Great, here you can work on this wax bottle." And
That is so funny, actually. That is like such a funny strategy. Like, I have all these wax bottles, you open them.
Yeah. All right, here we go. You're charging me $20 corkage fee. Go to work.
Yeah. Have at it.
I like that.
That is so funny.
But you do know, I am anti-wax also. I agree 100%. It's very pretty to look at. I really do like looking at it when it's like the drippy thing, when it's not all perfect. I do like that. It's pretty. But then it's a royal pain. It's a royal pain. But they're definitely not Coravin friendly, Susannah.
Thank you. Thank you. My God, I know.
But go ahead. Michael.
Well, there's one wine we recently had, Belglas, which I don't like but they have which is sealed. It's sealed with wax, but they have a little tab that you can and it comes off and that's easy to use.
Did it still shatter all over the place?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's like Dutch beer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's a more malleable wax as opposed to the ones that are hot dipped in wax.
Right.
And then and then they dry out, and then they crack and go every which way. Mm-hmm. But that's pulling that off. I mean, I was so happy. I mean, I was. Is that wine that good? No.
I don't come across that many.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially young natural wines from the New World. So you have
with wax.
Yeah. So I've seen some from South America and
Isn't
South
that
Africa.
kind of anti? Wouldn't it be anti? I mean, I don't get that. How is that natural?
I don't know. They have the whole speech about I do the wax myself, and this is it's all about storytelling, right? So they have a history. They have stories for everything: the label, the painting, the wax, and all that. I even saw once was a screw cap with the wax on the top.
Oh, jeez.
What's that about? It's like,
I don't know what I want to be.
Consistent.
I don't know what I want to
be
do.
consistent. You want to be one thing, be it. I don't know.
Well, I
was a very young wine producer.
I was going to say there is a little trick to the wax, which I don't know if it's a secret, not a secret, or whatever. But all you really have to do so that it doesn't crumble, right, is if you just take it and put it in the palm of your hand and kind of just do this onto the palm of the hand, your body temperature is warm enough to soften the wax. So when you do that, you kind of do it, a few times, and then you just immediately put the corkscrew in and pull it out, and it will come out without crumbling.
Good to know.
It does come out without crumbling.
But some of those that I have with wax have been sitting here 15, 16 years. It's dry. It's really dry.
Well, you should bring them next time you go out to dinner.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That is a great tactic.
I'm definitely doing it from now on.
100%. Love it. Love
the
that.
next time Lori comes up and she's going to show me how easy it is, I'm going to give her one of those
Okay.
wines to open.
All right.
Right. Yeah. Have her do that movement with the hand.
Yeah.
And then when it goes all over the place, I'll give her the backing.
Okay. All right. Deal. As long as I get the wine that's in there.
I'll give you the wine. I'll give you the wine.
I'm okay. But anyway, we are already, oh my gosh, almost at our hour. Does anybody have any other, those were the
I have a
main-
question.
Sure.
I have a question. How do you feel about this new paper bottle? Like Johnny Walker is gonna launch next year with the Johnny Walker. Like the whole bottle is made of paper, but it's hard enough to shape like a bottle and very light to ship around the world. How
I
do you
don't
feel
actually
about
know
that?
I don't know anything about it, so I have no opinion.
I've read about it. I think it's the coolest thing ever, but I would have to see it and feel it in my hands and work with it to decide if I think it's a good concept or not. I mean, intellectually, it's brilliant.
I saw some champagne bottles that are trying to make the customer get used to that when they just put like a second bottle vest in paper, like a, you know what I mean? Like a kazoo, like an eggshell. And it's a Dutch technology. It's very hard. It's like the first step to get to the consumer to get used to that.
So the question, I haven't read anything, Lori or Luciana, but my question would be, it's just like canned wine. They always tell you, what they coat it with on the inside. There's no flavor that's imparted, which is absolutely BS. It tastes horrible. And so whatever they put on the inside of the paper bottle to keep it impenetrable from air and leaking, somehow or another, that's going to be the bigger issue than the actual container, I think. It's the liner.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not a chemical engineer or anything, but what they say is that's the difference. They don't put a liner inside. Is the bottle is that way from outside and from inside. They don't have a second layer. That's what they say.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant, and the concept is fantastic. And chemical wise, I get it, but I still would. I'd have to manipulate it and see what it's like, because I think it's a cool concept.
I'm dying to see that, because all they tell about it is fantastic. I'm dying to see that.
Yeah.
It could be the future. We don't know.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I would love to see it. I really would.
Let's wait.
Yes. All right. So, Luciana, you do not know this because this is your first time on Wine Writers Wrap Up, but I always end Wine Writers Wrap Up with a riddle. So, Michael is going to go get his pen and paper, or is he already? There you go. Okay. All right. So, I just ask a riddle. I don't know why I started this, but this is what I do at the end of Wine Writers Wrap Up. So,
what's that?
A riddle.
Know. Yeah.
Just, like I ask a riddle, and you guys have to guess what the answer is.
Okay.
All right. So the question is, who or what are we? Every boxer needs a good one. We are seen on most Christmas trees. One of us is a famous captain, and we often hang out with line and sinker. So, who or what are we? Every boxer needs a good one. We are seen on most Christmas trees. One of us is a famous captain, and we often hang out with a line and sinker.
String?
No.
Star?
No. Luciana?
Anchor?
No. You guys are
Is there
kind of
another?
close.
Is that another word for anchor?
No, I know it's not. No.
Can you repeat the clue again?
Yeah. Every boxer needs a good one. We are seen on most Christmas trees. One of us is a famous captain. We often hang out with a line and sinker.
Cord?
Love.
Angel?
No,
Angel?
Susannah's on the top of that tree. Star, angel.
I'm on the bottom, like anchor, cord. I don't know.
One last guess, Michael. Ooh, I got a winner here.
Yeah, you got one. No, I'm lost.
All right, see, and Maria from Wine Cheese Friday, she's like the super riddle person. She gets every single one. I'm gonna have to text her this and see. All right, every boxer needs one. We are seen on most Christmas trees. Ugh. One of us is a famous captain. You can't see my hand.
Hook?
Hook.
A hook.
We often hang out.
Where is
with
in a
the
box there is a hook?
Boxer has a hook.
A boxer.
Sure.
I was,
Well done, Lori.
Oh, I didn't come up with that, but thank you.
No, but this is only my second Wine Writers, so I didn't know about this either. I don't remember the last one that we were on if you had a riddle. But
I did. I'm sure I did. I don't remember. Oh, but you know what? The
remember.
last one you were on, you had to leave early.
Oh, that's why.
So
I didn't know.
You missed the end of it. Yes. Something.
Well, good
happened
for you.
last
All right,
time.
I'll have to come better prepared next time.
Yeah. The grandkids love these, by the way.
Oh yeah. Okay. Give them that one. See if they get it.
Yeah, that one and the penny, the head.
Oh, the head cut. Yeah. Head, tail. I'm brown. Something like that. That was last month.
Yeah.
That was last.
Oh
month.
yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on to Wine Writers Wrap Up and sharing your opinions on, winery decisions. So this is kind of like where we really do wrap up, give you each like a minute or so to let everybody know, who you are, where they can find you on social media. And, I don't know if you're doing anything cool and special. Pandemic is opening up a little bit. Maybe there is something going on. So, Luciana, let's start with you.
you can find me everywhere with the Wine Talk group. Just take Wine Talk group, and you can find my wine skill on Alexa, Wine Talk, and you can ask about wines. It's a general thing, it's not a geek thing. You can enable Wine Talk if you have a legal age for that. And you can talk about wines with Alexa or Google Home.
That's awesome. I'm going to do that tonight.
Me too. Yeah, that's fun.
That's awesome. Awesome. Susanna.
So I'm Susannah. You can find me on social media under Vigneto Coms or under my name, Susannah Gold, or my wine blog, Avinarde. I am about to launch something, but I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. There you go.
All right.
And I love this conversation about winery decisions, and I hope you do more of them.
All right.
It's really an interesting, kind of different topic.
Thank you.
It was very good.
I'm Michael Kelly. I'm the spokesperson for Paso Robles.
I knew that. Pimo. What did you call it, Pimo?
Pismo.
Pismo. Sorry,
Pismo
Pismo.
Beach.
That's so funny.
So I've the website is California Wines and Wineries, and Cab Franc. I put on this last year was National Cab Franc. This year it's going to be International Cab Franc Day wine competition. Or Lori has another name for it. What was it? I forget what it was. International Cab Franc.
Yeah, we're gonna remove it from Cab Franc Day because there was a bit of confusion from what I do for Cab Franc Day and then the competition, right? But we got time to talk.
Extravaganza or something. Who knows what it's going to be? But anyway, that's and then doing. Then that's enough.
And I can be found all over social media as Exploring the Wine Glass, which is the wine, the blog and the podcast, as well as Dracaena Wines, which is the winery located in Paso Robles, California.
Cheers.
Cheers. So thank you very much for joining. I hope you all have a wonderful Thursday night. I know, Michael, there's going to be something in your glass other than water in an hour or two. But everybody else, have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for joining. And I will see you next month. So, Sláinte.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of Exploring the Wine Glass. Thanks for listening. If you have suggestions on what topics you would like me to discuss, please reach out on social media. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as Exploring the Wine Glass. I am also on LinkedIn as Lori Hoytbud. Of course, you can always email me at exploringthewineglass@gmail.com. If you enjoyed what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe to help others find me more easily. And most importantly, tell your wine-loving friends, because if you like the podcast, they will too. Music is Wine by Kevens. Until next week, Sláinte.
No, never let you go.